Have a history teacher try to explain this to you. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Now it gets really weird. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, was born in 1939. Now hang on to your seat. Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car called Lincoln, made by Ford. Lincoln was shot in a theater and his assassin ran and hid in a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse and his assassin ran and hid in a theater. Booth and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. And here's the kicker. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. Like and follow for more.
Now, if that doesn't go a long way to prove the cyclical nature of this reality, I don't know what doesn't. I wonder if we're going to have a Wall Street crash in 2029 as a repeat of 1929. That would make them isometrically mirrors. So if we go to, I think it's 1979, 1980, which is like the midway marker, there was a crash, a financial crash then. And this is something that Archaics has shown, and Square Peg Divergent Channel has actually predicted that Ohio train crash. It was more than likely, and it just shows how it's the same scripts being played out over and over again. At Forrest Gump saying life is like a box of chocolates. If you look on the box of chocolates, it says about you have a selection. It's like voting, you have a selection. It's not a free choice. You're given an assortment and then you have to pick one. And most people, whether they want to admit it or not, they might vote, which is indicating carry on. We like this one in the blue tie or that one in the red tie. So we're basically saying carry on doing what you're doing. And just like chocolate, when you turn the heat up, people go into a meltdown because they're then projecting out what they don't recognise because they don't have understanding that it's just insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And voting is a perfect example when you go to the polls. Polarity shifts. But you only got to ask yourself, whenever in history has any government ever done anything that's benefited any people that they're supposed to represent? It's a crazy thing. Yeah, I've been out summer today, water collecting, and from a spring nearby. First time I've been there, it's beautiful. And to Monchique for some supplies. And trying to perfect this fire, I need to make a smoke deflector on the because the room's filling up like a smog. I've done a little experiment tonight which has lessened the smoke, but I've got a sheet of rusting metal outside which I'm sure I can fashion into some sort of deflector in front of the entrance, so the smoke is then sort of pushed back. So I shall probably work on that tomorrow. Put some more potatoes in today and some onions, and actually if it's sunny I will endeavour to do some outside work as well again, because it's beautiful, but when you're in shadow, the noticeable difference in the temperature, it's like yow. But on the plus side, it's only one more week and then we hit the minimum daylight, and then it starts increasing again, and astrologically and everything, it's brilliant. In fact, I thought to you yesterday, actually. Sorry I haven't been in contact, I've just been hyper busy at the moment. Yeah, it's a Gemini forecast. It's Gemini's year next year, so it's tarot, but it's amazing what comes out and how consistent from the different aspects. It's definitely worth watching, and I feel that will give you some encouragement. You know, you see a human body in its natural form, and that's as a corpse. Inside the physical body there are manufactured poisons and things that are actually trying to destroy the body. When the body is a corpse, it will disintegrate itself. That's its natural process. It's the etheric body that combats that and holds everything together inside us. The reason I'm saying this is, if you can sort of shift the perception to see, as a human being we consist of 4 bodies, 1 physical and 3 inside. There's your 3 in 1. There's a series of lectures by Rudolf Steiner called From Comets to Cocaine. I love the titles, yep, something like From Elephants to Einstein. That explains about health of the human body and everything, and goes into great detail about what's inside the eyeball, what's inside the ear, and we're actually made up of many human beings. But this was it. When 2 people come together, it's the soul and the spirit of what becomes the child actually takes an active part in bringing 2 people together to create a physical body to then come back into to have another life experience, which is I find quite fascinating. And the different senses, the eyes, the ears and things, and how we're made up of many little humans inside us that replicate the same pattern. So the ear's got something like an arm or a foot, and the ear and the eye and the nose and everything, they each have feeling and memory and 2 other components. So they are like almost a human in their own right. So we're made up of lots of little humans. We are a universe. So if you can sort of see it from that point of view, like take with Mickey, he's separated from his physical body, but the soul and spirit do not die. They just go to a different realm. It seems to be, once you come out of this realm, there's no turning back, but you can come back in a new body and then you wipe, so you don't have an unfair advantage. But, this was the other thing, why young children and why they want to grab them. The system wants to grab children as quick as possible. It's to do with a soft spot on the top of the head. It hasn't calcified over fully, and it's in direct line with the pineal gland. So there's still more of a astral connection and a soul-spirit connection at that age. This is why young children can come out with some quite interesting things. They know things that they shouldn't know, and said, I used to live here in a past life, and it's like, how the hell there's repeated stories of this. There's definitely evidence of it. which I find fascinating. So Mickey has not gone. The general rule seems to be a third year life is in sleep, so he'd be back in he'd reincarnate in a third of his lifespan. I think that's how it works. But with things the way they are, those that have been here won't have to come back, because it would seem that the plug on this reality does get pulled in 2106, I think it is. And that's the end of it. It's a 6,000 year cycle. The experiment will be over. But we don't actually die at all. We just leave the physical body here. It has to stay here because it's part of this reality, the biblical thing. Nothing is added, nothing taken away. It just transmutes form. So the body would disintegrate. But the soul and the spirit are eternal. So Mickey is not gone. And it's attuning ourselves to tune in, and it won't be far away. It's all here anyway. It's just the frequency that we're on. Especially if we're operating in the 5 external senses. They've got very limited ranges, so most can't detect anything outside of those ranges. But that can be changed from doing internal work anyway, and it does open up things. It's getting far easier to do. I get these mind pictures, and I don't have to think. Thinking is the worst thing because it's from the lower conscious mind, but it's like, for example, I'll observe and have a desire, like to build a fireplace, and then I won't do any more thinking about it. That it just comes, the answers just are revealed, and sort of make it up as I go. And I've just got to sort out a smoke deflector tomorrow, but apart from that, it's working, and it's heat, and in perfect timing because it's definitely colder in the evenings now. So yeah, that's interesting about the Kennedy and Lincoln thing. There's about 50 coincidences, which is exactly what they are. That there's no apparent connection, but statistically, odds of probabilities of beyond 2 of those things, it's so astronomical of improbability that it just shows that it's some sort of computer game matrix, holographic simulation sort of thing. It's no word that sums that up. It's also a living biocomputer. It's everything. But there's nothing in this reality you can compare it to give it a specific name. This is the problem that everybody seems to be struggling with. What name can we come up to call this, what this reality and experience really is? It's we'd have to be outside of it and looking in it and comparing it to something else with the way our minds work with seeing contrasts. But there is nothing to contrast it with. This is the paradox of it.